Hey, what is up, traders? Welcome back to Uplift Markets. Today we are trading, as you guys know by the title, NVDA and also another name, Tesla, which has been an absolute banger of a trade today. Overall, the market is doing pretty well so far. We've been kind of easing a little bit of the tensions here with the Iran, pretty much headlines that we had. The market's seeing a nice bounce, a nice little rally. We're increasing quite well. We're above the overall, let me just clear this up for you guys. We're above intraday VWAP, signifying that there's a lot of buyers here, and signifying their overall control here within the name. Additionally, so we're having a little bit of camera problems here. See if we can get that underway. But yeah, as you guys can see here on my screen, we're above the intraday VWAP and the 50 MA, signifying overall, that the buyers are in control of the intraday trend. The market is doing quite well. We're actually above, up around 1% here on the day. Close to 1%. And, compared to yesterday, it was a little bit rangy at the beginning of the trading session, and but now we're seeing a nice appreciation here of the overall market. Let's go over the rundown as always, right? You guys know that I like to see how the overall economic news may impact the stock and the overall market that we're trading. So let's check this out right here. Some problem. Okay, so the rundown for today, June 18th. Overall, the markets are remaining cautious ahead of the Federal Reserve meeting, and it's going to be scheduled for 1 p.m. Eastern, or pretty much 2 p.m. I think. Let's see. Economic calendar, check that out. Let's see. Yeah, pretty much at 11 a.m. here, Pacific Standard Time. So around 2 p.m. Eastern Time, that's when the Fed is going to be speaking and deciding. A lot of, probabilities, and investors have been pricing in pretty much that there won't be any change to the rate cuts. It will still be remaining at a 4.5%. We'll have to see. That's the overall economic data that came in. I guess the most important was the initial jobless claims revised. It came in lower than the forecast, which is quite nice to see. Shows a resilient labor market here. Came in at 245,000 compared to the expected here of 255, which is quite nice to see. Continuing jobless claims actually came in a little bit lower as well from the forecast, and the 4-week average also came in lower than the overall forecast that we saw. Something to note here, though, is that we did have the preliminary building permits come in lower. It kind of signifies maybe a little bit of a slowdown here in real estate and overall construction development here. Housing starts also declined, so there's not a lot of, based on this for the month, a lot of construction going on. Kind of slowed down a little bit. It's still active, but it kind of slowed down a little bit here. The overall rundown, the futures were flat. In the pre-market, S&P 500 were also down, and Nasdaq was also kind of flat, but it was up on the day. The markets remained overall tense as former President Trump, or the current President Trump, has declared that American patience is wearing thin on a recent post that he had following the high-level security briefings overall with Iran, and in turn vowed retaliation if the U.S. entered the conflict, right? So it's kind of signifying a little bit of uncertainty there for the overall markets. Oil, it has increased. Prices rebounded. We have Brent crude above $76 and WTI over $75. So, we're gonna see a lot of volatility over the upcoming days here with oil prices. Trying to get an idea. Everything's on the Fed, right? Right now, you want to see where the market's headed. There's been those fears, obviously, of recession, and we've been seeing a slowdown, right? Cool down in the economy. We saw a GDP contraction quite earlier About like a month ago, 2 months ago, we saw that GDP contraction for the beginning of the overall year, and as well we also saw a slowdown in retail sales month over month and year over year. So it's kind of showing us that slowdown that we're seeing in the economy. Trade of the day is Palantir. Firmly, the thesis for that for the trade of the day is that it's gaining momentum as global defense spending is surging, right? And this obviously is impacted, and giving a lot of benefit towards these names. For example, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, and Palantir, right, are in the spotlight following the news that European nations are wrapping up military budgets amid Russia aggression, and geopolitical uncertainty under Trump. So, very important note for that. Some key bullish signals for Palantir. I mean, it looks absolutely amazing on a daily chart. Bullish, very bullish trend. I like that. And the final thoughts here. So the macro picture is remaining fragile as the Fed uncertainty meets geopolitical volatility. So that's why it's going to be important to see what the Fed does say here. Overall, if they're going to keep rates steady and what they're overall saying. So as always, there's more articles here. Please feel free to subscribe to get this every day before the market opens, straight to your inbox, and powered by AI. And we also giving these key economic data so you guys are informed before the market opens, and what may be moving the market. So moving back towards here, let's see, moving back towards the overall market. NVDA is now actually pumping, looking quite well. Let's see if we can pull it up here. Of that. All right, so the triple Q, nice bounce, right? Let's see. So looking at NVIDIA, it's pumping now, so it's actually going to be looking like a good long here overall. It's showing that there's a lot of momentum. Now we're above the swing anchored VWAP, so this would ideally be a nice entry for us here overall on the name. We're going to be looking at enter the name here on NVIDIA. Additionally, not bad. We're going to enter right now. Kind of put a stop loss towards this recent irrelevant lower high, probably around here, and also below the EMA here, so around 144 and 84 cents, and try to target this pivot point here, this R2, and hopefully it gets to R3. We'll have to see about that, but we're finally above 143, 145. I mean, so far it's been having a lot of trouble overall for NVIDIA to get above 145, right? Right, kind of signifying that momentum. It's going back to overall stock. Look at that, APVO, been one of the top volumes here. It's been doing 101 million in volume, and it's what is an absolute beast of a name here at the beginning of the day. Kind of had a sharp decline and kind of now rebounding. I'd probably like to get in this name. If you break above here, close and manage to get above, VWAP, signifying that, the buyers are now fully back in control here for this name. It would also, give us a little bit more confidence as, it would be above the majority of the EMAs, signifying again that overall buyer strength and resilience here. Pretty much this scanner is on TradingView. It's an absolutely game changer, right? It gives us, the majority of the stocks that are moving, especially here on the NASDAQ, right? So for example, NVIDIA, that's on the scanner. It's doing 59 million shares in volume, and look at the price action. It's good, right? It's not a lot of choppiness, right? And that's what we'd like to see. We don't like to see when the market is choppy, like to see that decisive trend. That's what we're seeing on NVIDIA. Quite nice. Tesla, an absolute beast. It's been trending on the day, an absolute, above the EMAs. Break that. Above intraday VWAP here. Just amazing name. Probably will find resistance all the way here towards 331. That's the next level, honestly, I'd see. I'm not in the name, but it's anyone who's in the name, you got a very nice trade here. I'll probably have my stop here towards this 324. Probably try to bring it up here. But yeah, looking very, very strong of a name here. Intel on the day also very, very strong. It opened, it got above VWAP here before the beginning of the day. Saw a very nice big candle here, the $21 level, and it's been nothing but upside from there. We'll have to see maybe if we get towards the $21 level, which would be the next area of resistance here for the name here. But looks quite overextended. We'll have to see. All these names looking bullish. Lucid is also within the volume, signifying, but it's not very liquid. You guys can see that the price action is not, the candlesticks don't form properly. It's not very liquid, so we don't like to be in these names. It's very cheap as well. It's like a $2 stock, so not really. Ooh, really? Look at this one. This one actually has been strong. It's actually holding below VWAP now, but it's kind of picking up steam, right? Because it's above these EMAs. So underlying, there's some strength here, some buyers. So possibly a good entry would be here at a break of 317, and then can be targeted here. Using Fibonacci's target before it gets overextended to $4, and it would be a nice area to get out, as that would be pretty much a pretty psychological level and flat level, an important level here of the $4. So we'll put an alert here on rally, and try to get notified here if it does get above that level. Kind of look at it closely. Let's see, TMC strong on the day, but now pulling back towards VWAP, and it's the second time we pull back, so it's kind of seeing a little bit of weakness. Marvell pretty strong on at the beginning of the day, but quite heavily gave back the majority of the gains on the day. It's now even though it's still positive, came back, gave back a lot of, profit there on the day. SoFi, really strong as well, like I said, amazing name. And yeah, the majority of these names here, Qubit, kind of a nice upward trend, but now, it's declining. AMD kind of taking a pause. Sunrun actually bouncing off the extreme sell-off I had yesterday. American Airlines, not really trade that name. RXRX was a nice move. Found resistance at around the $5, and it makes sense, the even levels, $5, $5.25, like those even levels, they tend to get a lot of notice here from the market participants as well. Here it has Navitas, gave back below VWAP, not interested in the name. Let's see, WBD, Warner Brothers, quite strong, but not a lot of volume here. Not liking this. Hood showing some strength. Yeah, some recent strength. Look at that. Look at that name. It was kind of consolidating between the day. Finally, broke out above that around 76, and now it's moving towards the upside. We'll have to see. Next area here, 79. May decide to pull back, hold some support, bounce off that towards 79. But it's strong, right? It's above the intraday VWAP. Quite extended from that. And as well, we're above these key EMAs here, right? So it's showing a lot of buyer resilience here on the overall name, and I'm liking that, to be honest. Let's see, we'll have to see. It's like NVDA found a little bit of a double top here. Very, very suspicious. Let's see on the name. And I see that it is finding that support there, right? So, as long as it's above intraday VWAP and above these key indicators, these EMAs, we should, tend to give the benefit of the doubt here towards the buyers, as, they are in control of the name. Kind of rebounded below this swing high anchored VWAP, put it as red. But, yeah, actually holding this 144, finding some support there. Quite nice. Quite nice to see that hold. Let's see, and see how this stock is doing. APVO, yeah, it's had a very strong bid ever since $5. It was kind of halted for quite a while. Halted here initially, and then opened, declined here, and then it halted again, a volatility halt, and came down lower here, and also got here a little bit of volatility halt here on the name. And it just shows us overall the extent of the big move. I mean, it's up 150% on the day. It's a lot of, very strong, very strong. Very, very strong name. Let's see. Not bad, not bad. It's still showing that support. Let's see. Yeah, buyers held here. Came in quite nice here at 144. Not bad, not bad. Strong bid. Yeah, I like this lower wick being formed, signifying, buyer strength here, buyers coming in, here on the name. See how Tesla's doing. Okay, pulling back a little bit, after the intense move that it's been having. Pulling back. Let's see, PVO still down, below VWAP. Let's see it get above, to kind of look for an entry there on that name. Let's see, until pumping, rally. Okay, it pumped. Okay. Try to go above VWAP, see if, buyers emerge and, probably form a higher low. So probably, like a 325 break. That would, kind of signify to us that it's a long. Although, we have to see. I'm really liking that it's above the majority of these, overall EMAs, right? The 40, 100, and 200, signifying that there are buyers here at these levels pretty much, trying to pick up the price, and that's what they're doing, even though we're below VWAP. It's like they're trying to slowly emerge above, trying to, pick up the price, which I'm liking. Totally respect that here. Marvell as well, like I said, strong upside move, declined quite heavily, but yeah, it's been it's kind of ranging right now between this area, and it's still below VWAP. So although it's doing pretty good volume, it's not too good on the day. Yeah, still holding that level. See, NVIDIA seeing nothing but a strong bid. Really like that candle, like I previously stated. And, we're above, intraday VWAP. Let's see if I delete some of these little lines here to kind of, clearer idea here. Let's see. Yeah, so we're above intraday VWAP. The average, you could say, long participant is long $144.70, and the slope has been rising so far, right? You guys see this very intense slope, when the price action also, increased kind of slowed down a little bit, right? And that's what we saw, kind of like the pullback. But it's like, there's buyers, slowly picking up the price here. We'll have to see what NVIDIA decides to do, unless we decide to stay flat. But then we kind of want to check the cues, see what they're doing. It's kind of, the price action here on NVIDIA reflects what the overall cues do. So, okay, so strong bid, kind of pulling back here towards VWAP. Seeing some buying here, some below intraday VWAP, and also the overall 40 EMA does give us a little bit of a confluence here, because those both levels are acting as a level of support here. It's quite nice to see that. So yeah, APVO, it's been looking good. It found support exactly at a flat level of $5. It's quite nice to see. If it does get above VWAP, then it would be looking like a nice entry, right? So let's see. Okay, buyers picking up the price here on Reliance Global Group. So it's insurance brokers services here. Okay, that's what it is. So I'm guessing they probably have good news. I mean, the volume is intense, right? Compared to the average volume, has been 32 million shares. Now it's doing 30 million. It's been pumping up quite nice. Not bad, not bad. See how this on a 10-minute chart. Okay, bullish. 15-minute chart, I like that break here of 310. 30-minute looks bullish as well. Okay. I'm mostly looking though APVO. This one, see if the volume can really pick up. It's kind of interesting though that I found resistance though around here, the $13. Big downward volume, price action. Not really accompanied by volume, I guess here the volume wasn't too intense. It's kind of, kind of weird how, really shifted downward like that, very intense and not as intense volume. NVIDIA still bidding up. It's quite nice to see. Here we have some little bit of news here, but it's kind of like a summary here on news. Let's see. NVIDIA backed AI startup Sandbox AQ creates new data to speed up drug discovery. Not bad. Maybe that's why it's up as well. Let's see, Rally. Kind of liking this name, showing some strong signs of support. A lot of confluence here. Let's kind of measure the pullback, see where the stock can go here. Using Fibonacci, found a little bit of support there, so we can say most likely it will find resistance at $4. So probably be an upside trade here. Let's see. Yeah, not too bad. Let's take a little closer look here at Bitcoin. See how it's doing on the day. I've been, really bullish on Bitcoin. I'm a bull all the way through. Let's see how it looks. Let's see. So like we said, we found kind of like a pullback, and we did find support at that 50 MA, and forming confluence with the $101 level, 101,000 of course. Found a strong bid, but it's having some trouble getting above those highs of 111,000 that we formed there on the 21st here of I think it's May. Right, yeah. Of May. have a little bit. Yeah, it's having some trouble. I mean, if we zoom out right on the daily, it's been a very nice upward trend. Let me take this off for you guys so you guys can see. So I'm take this off as well. Pivot points. So let's see. I mean, these were the previous highs that we formed, right? And it was around January. After the president got sworn in, there was a lot of hope. That's what we saw that night, that rally after President Trump won, right? There was a lot of hope of, deregulation for Bitcoin and, more adoption, right? But I guess we haven't seen too much news here on Bitcoin. Initially, we did see a little bit, but not too much, and that's what kind of had that decline here. We pulled back to a very important levels here of 75,000 on Bitcoin overall. It was a very nice, pretty much of a dip, and it came in confluence with a lot of areas of prior resistance. They came back, held that support, and also Fibonacci levels. But seeing that dip, seeing that bounce, we saw obviously that this was an important high, right? The currently 104. And we plotted a swing high anchored VWAP here, and as soon as we got above that, that was a long. You could say there at 90,000. Could have picked up lower here, but to be definitively at a good entry price here, and lower risk entry, and also following kind of risk management, that was a long year around 90,000. Propulsed higher, and right now what it's seeing is some resistance here at these levels, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. It may be a quadruple top. Who knows, right? It's pulling back, finding some sellers. But if we zoom out, it's still on a trend. It's still towards upside, just having some trouble moving up. My thesis is still towards the long side. I have a price target here of Bitcoin towards 130,000. Firmly believe that can be achieved if we do manage to break these highs of 111,000. What we can do here overall, it's kind of okay, we're seeing support there, but measuring the buyers, pretty much the breakout, see if we're finding some support there. So we found that support right there. So what I'm expecting here over the next couple of days for Bitcoin is we'll probably come back, test this level again, and if we do come and test it, I like to see a bounce off of it, slowly seeing some strength after this. Maybe some type of candles like this, seeing some support off of Bitcoin here, and slowly starting to propulse up and trying to challenge these highs. But if we break this level here on Bitcoin, it would show us that we had some trouble, supply there, rejected, and I expect a pullback towards this $93,000 level. That would pretty much be where we would go towards Bitcoin if that level. This fails, pretty much this $100,000 level. We would see a retracement towards the 93,000 level there. So, yeah, not looking too good here on the short term for Bitcoin. It's just been kind of sideways, tricking people here. Let's see. Oh, as well, Ethereum, seeing the same thing. It was kind of moving up. As Bitcoin was increasing. But it's been nothing but accumulating, above the swing high anchored VWAP. And at this point, buyers saw an intense rally here. But, they're met with a lot of supply here at these upper levels. And, we're just, consolidating here. And something I'm not liking here on Ethereum is basically the more we test a level or a VWAP level, let's say this level here of 2,400 right here, and 50. Let's say this level here, so we'll mark it there, right? So we can probably take this off here, kind of, the more a level, is tested, right? But we don't manage to, see that propulsion, I guess, it's more likely to fail, right? We came back, tested it, found a nice bid up, came back, tested it again, bid, test, right? And each time it's kind of less vigor. You see this test, we found support, but it's each time less of an upside move. So most likely this level will fail here, and we'll probably see a pullback towards this prior area here, maybe 2,000 right there. So we'll see some support there on Ethereum. I don't see any bullish momentum right now. I don't see any, I'd say, headline that can drive Ethereum towards upside, unless the leader follows. If Bitcoin goes up, then most likely the majority of crypto will also go as well. In this case, second to Bitcoin is obviously Ethereum. So we have to wait, see what Bitcoin does. And right now, I wouldn't really place any trade here on Ethereum. A name that's really bullish here, and is showing a lot of potential upside move here is obviously AMD, right? I did an analysis on this name here, and I'm really liking it. It's been seeing a nice movement ever since we made these lows. Pretty much the after the tariffs, right? That bounce that the overall market had. You guys can see this bounce in the majority of names here, especially on the Nasdaq. Tech names. We saw nothing but a nice move towards upside. So let me just take this off for you guys. Take that off. Okay, so as you guys can see, we've been nothing but declining, right? And we have a recent high here, and looks like we were declining for quite a while. We were having lower highs, right here, these lower highs, and lower lows. So pretty much a strength structure of a downtrend. And we had this one, but as soon as we broke above that, so we'd say this 115, it broke the downtrend. You could say that. So right now it's looking like it's trying to go towards upside. Also, if we plot the swing high anchored VWAP, we're above that 119. It's just we'd like to see this hold for quite a while. Maybe have some propulsion. Maybe break above 131. Give us that now how do you say it? Higher high, which can establish now the overall trend, right? The overall trend reversal, right? So we want to see that being taken place here on AMD, but yeah, recently had really big moves after that overall AI keynote that they had, a lot of partnerships as well with Xbox, and it was recently announced yesterday as well. So this name has been seen as an underdog, kind of below NVDA, but I see further upside here on this name because the AI race is quite heavy, right? But there's always going to be that behind the leader, right? Kind of like Apple's been kind of like the leader in mobile. We see a little bit of a lagger behind that, right? So it's pretty much what I believe here on AMD. But it looks like it is setting up, quite bullish here. Just a matter of time before we see an appreciation of price. Let's see. Yeah, APVO. All these names, they're mostly like most of the names that have nice moves on like any day. They're always pretty much like therapeutics names. This thing's been heavily shorted. Like look at this. Look at this name. Sweet Jesus Christ! Look at this. This thing IPO'd. Oh my God. Dude, whoever was long this and they're still holding it. Jesus. I feel bad for them, man. It's been heavily shorted. Well, what the hell? Dude, what was his name even worth? $201,000 biotech in 2020. So I saw like a big move and then declined. Apart from that, I reached $1 million. Jeez, I can only imagine the options. See his name on historical. So let's see. Well, this thing IPO'd at around 2 million, and it's barely been like this thing has lost significant amount of shareholder value. Look at this, APVO biotech, and yeah, they're not really making a lot of money anyways. Yeah. Yeah, fundamentals are pretty much ass. They're not good. But on the day is providing pretty nice opportunity here for day trades, right? Let's see, NVIDIA still looking strong. Found that bid and it's trying to break above now. Let's see, let's plot the EMAs, and okay, like I said, so that's the next price target. We'll look to take off half of the position at that high of 145, and kind of let the rest run, and probably adjust our stop a little bit towards this high. Now our stop is around this area below VWAP, and if we do break make a higher high, then the next stop loss would obviously be towards this 144 dollar level, giving us that momentum here towards upside. But yeah, looking quite well. Let's see, rally, how's it doing? Okay, nice break, hold the pulse. Okay, not bad. I'm not liking this candle though that formed, and we've seen that usually above VWAP when the overall trend is towards the downside. Sellers like to sell more, like add a lot of supply there because they get a cheaper price. If you're looking short, I would rather enter at these highs than to enter here when the trend is already pretty much initiated or halfway done, right? So you get the majority of profit if you short the name at around above VWAP, and then you kind of take profit slowly when it falls below VWAP here. Yeah, it's like this name is not gonna recuperate. It's not gonna get above the swing high anchored VWAP at all. Kind of seeing that overall weakness here on the name. Yeah, I just can't get above. So this name had a nice move, nice run at the beginning of the day, but now totally reversed that. So it's not really calling my attention. Although it's the number one volume mover here. It's done more than 1 million shares, and its average volume is 3 million a day. And in the it's been halted, right, because of the volatility halts. So not really interested in that name. Probably more interested here on NVDA. See what it does near that high that was previously formed. And we had a pullback. And say we're rejecting again. 145.60. We're rejecting again. Look at that. Let's see, let's duplicate this tab. Not bad. You're kind of testing a little bit of the strategies here on the long side here. We're kind of, aiming here for, obviously with this little paper trade, kind of implementing a little bit of a strategy here. And I'll go see if it's testing here on NVIDIA, Okay, showing nice movement. Okay, not bad NVIDIA. It's let's see. But yeah, we got completely shut down on the overall prop trade account for the day. It's all right though. There's always another day to to trade and test, right? We got liquidated quite heavily on that APVO trade. When that volatility halt came in, we got liquidated. So now we just on the sim here, trying to get the reps in here on NVIDIA. This position is not too bad. It's slowly rising above VWAP. I'm liking that. Probably take profit around the highs. But yeah, we got fully liquidated, so that's where we're on here on the sim. Overall, but there's always another day, right? The market always provides opportunities every single day, and it's just our job to take advantage of the opportunities and recognize them. But yeah, I'm gonna have to do some pretty heavy analysis and reflection on what went wrong on that trade. We didn't lose too heavily on the prop trading account, but we did get shut down on the day because it does have that kind of daily restriction, right? You can't lose more than a certain percent of the account on the day, and we went past that today. But tomorrow, I'm pretty confident we'll make that back, and we'll be implementing that trade quite well recover. But today we're here on the sim. As you guys saw that there, paper trading and all that. We're back on the sim, giving pretty much pressing the reps, getting the reps in. So we're seeing that rejection of that high, right? Having some trouble getting above that. Yeah, I could say that the overall market over the past couple of days has just been a freaking chop fest. It's been see, now it's declining, right? So it's been nothing but choppy, and had a strong decline yesterday, yes, but it's finding a lot of chop at the beginning of the days, and it kind of gets difficult to hold on to the trade. Now it's declining. The overall market's seeing a decline. And if we look at the daily simply, right, we're seeing very hard, a lot of difficulty to get above the highs again, right? Just signifying that we need some type of catalyst, to come out and allow the market to find that, I guess you could say, excuse to bid up, right? But since we haven't had that in quite a while, we're just kind of you could say in a range, right? Trading intraday. I mean, if you look at a longer term time frame here on the overall market and the triple Qs, like let's see if we take this off and let's see the pivot points as well. We've been within this range since the beginning of pretty much you could say almost the beginning of the month here for June, right? And been between this range, we go up, come down, test, bounce, come back, right? So it's been ranging, right? There's pretty much no edge in trading here. If you're trading the Nasdaq, there's no really edge of a decisive trend unless you're really good range trader and you just go short here and you buy here, right? But for a trend, it's not looking too good, right? Compared to other days, before the market when it was appreciating in price quite well, right? Like for example, this nice the moves, right? Gaps up, seeing nice rallies, but ever since then, we're kind of consolidating. Also here when we were declining heavily, we pulled back. We were seeing obviously the trend towards the downside, right? And we want to see that instead of just ranging tickers and difficulty, and it's obviously has to do a lot with the news. There's a lot of uncertainty, especially tariffs initially, the overall future outlook of the economy, the Fed, and now with the recent hostilities and belligerencies taking place in the Middle East, there's been that risk now, and the market overall is. I guess we're strong. We're not selling off quite heavily. We're not down too much, but we're kind of like digesting the news, and taking time, to kind of, see what's next, right? I guess that's what the market's overall doing. We're not seeing too much of a move. If you really zoom out, the market's hasn't been bullish, like in a bullish trend quite heavily. It's been consolidating. We have days where we're above. 1%, we decline, we close like 0.5 of a percent. Right now we're like 0.3 of a percent, so pretty choppy. Same thing for the overall SPY as well, right? And pretty much the overall advantage that we can pretty much just take advantage of is these like small moves, like these how do I say it? These small names that just bid up, right? For example, like this APVO, right? Like this nice movement in the day. It's like the only names that we can really take advantage of right now in such a choppy market, right? Because it allows us to have names that are doing nice volume. Um, which have to identify the trend, and at the beginning of the day was towards the long side, and being able to identify that, and also not having the name already having like a catalyst, having the price bid up, is not impacted too heavily by the overall what the market is doing, right? So this name was moving up, and the overall market was moving up a little bit, but this one was moving up intensely, right? At some point it was up like 250% on the day. Now it's up 116%. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot still, but it's pulling back quite heavily, looking short, pulling back, not seeing any. It's not above VWAP or anything like that, right? So these are really pretty much the only moves you can take advantage, right? And see like Tesla, right? You see this nice move, but then now you're seeing it pull back quite heavily now towards VWAP, and we'll have to see if it does hold at VWAP. If not, then it's gonna be a short, right? Same thing for right. We zoom out, and for Tesla, we've been nothing but ranging, right? Right here, since the beginning of since June 10th. See this range that we're in right here. Pretty much no advantage in trading that. You're pretty much gonna get whipsawed quite heavily, and Tesla has been trading like that as well. We had a prior area of resistance, like a prior range right here. So let's see if we take this off. We had a prior area here, like a range. We broke below that, and that's what we saw, the nice sharp move towards the downside. And it's kind of what we're seeing now. So we'll see if we break below 314 and close. That would be like a short continuation. Probably target the lows of 273, right? But if we do break above, right, for example, here we're in this range, right? If we do break above, then we can target the highs there of 355, right? And that could be more of a swing trade, or you can just day trade and be like, yeah, we're looking long because we broke above the range finally. But you see this, it's been a lot of wicks, and it's just, I don't see a reason to trade it. Intraday you may get these moves, but collectively it's like the odds are not in the favor. Yeah, I really see pulling back. It's also kind of rangy, so I'm not really interested in that name. Intel, it's pretty much the only name that's been pretty strong on the day. Compared to other names, it's been pretty strong. SoFi as well, really strong name. Look at that, really strong bid, 1460. It's been seeing nothing but upside, and this name is really bullish on the daily. If I pull that up right here, if I pull that up, yeah, this name is really bullish, man. It's finally above its swing high anchored VWAP. It's finally looking to break above the range. I'm expecting further upside. Probably first price target here is towards $17, and we can firmly achieve, try to break the highs here of challenge the highs of $18, right? But this move is it's in line with longer term trend, right? The longer term trend is bullish, right? So we would look at smaller time frames and look to enter on the bullish side because the longer term trend is bullish, right? So that's why it's gotta have that multi time frame analysis, not just intraday. You kind of want to zoom out, and especially when you're in doubt, you gotta zoom out. Yeah, this one's looking nice. Marvel as well on the daily is looking quite well. We'll take this off. Kind of forming some resistance there, but it's finally breaking above this kind of prior lower high right here. If we do manage to close for some days above the 73.50 level, and maybe form a higher 78, then it would be a long, right? And firmly price targets towards 112 and the highs of 126, right, for a swing trade. Right, it's a semiconductor name here, so let's see that. See how Lockheed Martin is performing. Yeah, it seems it's having some trouble to break above, but once it does break above 491, this seems a long right there. Let's see, RTX, I think achieved all-time highs. Let's see, bullish there, momentum there. Yeah, very bullish. Very, very, very bullish. Look at this name, TMC on a daily chart. Jeez, look at this, non-energy minerals. It's been moving, it's been moving for quite some days, eh? 5 minute, now it's pulling back, but it's been trending. It was a nice long, obviously, here at the open. Probably the break here, 67, could have got a good dollar on there. Yeah, PVL looking bearish. NVDA having a hard time getting above. Tesla pulling back towards VWAP. Intel kind of pulling back as well. Yeah, the overall market's not looking too favorable as well. The triple Q's kind of declining, so we'll have to see what takes place here. Yeah, I guess we'll leave it at that for today. Other than that, feel free to subscribe to the channel, give it a like as well, and to stay alert at the overall video that's going to be posted today at 1 p.m. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we post videos, analysis of stocks, and as well, powered by AI and algorithms here to find, the best movers and where the overall money is going, right? The sector rotations. And right now, we're going to have a video on where the overall money flow has been moving over the past couple of weeks, and the names that are looking really bullish, especially in the energy sector. So other than that, hope you guys had a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys on the next time. Peace.